God is good.
Yes.
No, not you turn around. Turn it around.
God is good. I love His Word.
He's already messed up tonight. So.
Yeah, His Word is so awesome. Everybody got an outline? Eddie, you got some extra outlines? All right, you can carry them back in the back. If somebody comes in, they can give some. There's also some on the back right there. But it's we're doing again. We're getting really deep into grief because I don't know if you've noticed or not, but it seems to be a lot of deaths and a lot of stuff going on where people are really, really hurting. And I have discovered that sometimes when people are having a problem now, it's because they had a loss or they're grieving something back here and they never grieved it. And because they never allowed themselves to grieve back here, they're having problems now. And so all they can see is what's in front of them, and they're having problems here, but honestly, the problems are not here, the problems are there. And so if you get back there and take care of back there, it'll take care of here. And so grievance is very much necessary. It's a gift. Grief is a gift from God. Remember that. Grief is a gift from God. Let's read this here. Who has not questioned the reason for pain? Of course, I'm shortening it up all the time. Who's not questioned the reason for pain or suffering in the world? Some people have become hardened by their losses, others have become softened. God used their grief to cultivate understanding hearts. And know this, Jesus understands. He was a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief, Isaiah 53:3. So what are the stages of healthy grieving? We talked about unhealthy grieving last week. And you're going to say, oh, this is healthy? You're calling this healthy grief? Yeah, this is healthy grief. So when you see it, you're going to go, how is this healthy? Trust me, it's healthy. All right, here we go. Emotional complications occur when we block the natural process of grieving. A lot of times we block it because the pain is so great. Then when we start thinking about it, start working through it, we stop it. I remember having a bandage, and and they told me to change the bandage every day. And I hated changing the bandage every day because it hurt so bad to take the bandage off. And so I tried to go without doing it for a day. I watched my cousin last week when I came in. He'd been hit by a car, and it bent his leg backwards, and they had it in pins, and down one side of his leg, down one calf, he had a spot just about like that was opened up, and you could see the muscle, you could see the bone, you could see everything. On the other side, it was even bigger. And they left it up because it has to heal from the inside out. And when they went and started taking the bandages off, he about to come out of that bed. And I told him, hold on, buddy, because they've got to take these bandages off. It's got to come off. And he looked at me like, well, how about put them on your leg then? But again, they had to come off. And the same way, when we're grieving, a lot of times we try to stop it. And if you keep stopping it, keep burying it, keep putting it down, I can promise you that it will wind up hurting your life, your relationships, whatever you're trying to do, it's going to hurt you. So you need not block the natural process of grieving. Have you ever told yourself, I need to get my act together? I need to snap out of it. Or I should be handling this better. Yeah, but if you're not careful, I've said it many times, I'll say it a lot. Snap out of it. Come on now, get your act together. There's some times where you need to do that, yes, but then there's other times, especially when you're grieving, this can become self-incriminating. All right? If it becomes self-incriminating, then what you're doing is you're going to shut down the natural process of grieving. So you got to remember, it's okay to grieve. It's okay to hurt. It's okay to remember. It's okay. Because if you don't, you're still remembering it, just you keep pushing it down. You keep pushing it down, eventually it's going to spring up, and when it springs up, it's going to be nasty. So you got to keep looking. So you got to snap out of it, handle it better. So self-incriminating thoughts reveal unrealistic expectations about grieving and a failure to understand the grief process and the slow journey of restoration. Y'all say it with me. Slow journey of restoration. It's a slow journey. You don't just snap out of it. Not this. Now, if I'm having a bad day, yeah, I can snap out of it. If I'm having a bad attitude, yeah, snap out of it. If today things are going backwards and all of a sudden I start giving in to the urge to complain, sure, snap out of it. Okay? I should be handled better. When it comes to a loss, a grieving loss, don't tell yourself that, because it is a slow journey. It's a crock pot. It's not a microwave. My attitude can change as a microwave. When it comes to grieving, it's always a crock pot. While stages of grief do exist there, and here's something else. I'll tell you about the stages of grief. Though I tell you about the stages of grief, sometimes people think you go in the grieving cycle, you go from stage to stage to stage to stage, and you're out of it. That's not how it works. The stages of grief do exist, but they're not stair-step stages that you walk through in a specific order and in a predictable fashion. In one day, I remember when Mama was sick, and when she died, I can remember when my wife was sick and she died. Both of those people, I grieved months before they died. I grieved my mama's death years before she died, because she was so sick and always at death's door. And when my wife, she was sick for 6 months. And so, again, I grieved both of them strongly while they were still alive, anticipating grief. And then I grieved afterwards, actual grief. But again, in one day, in 1 hour, I can hit all of them. I can hit shock, denial, anxiety, confusion, depression, sadness, helplessness. All in one. I can hit it back and forth, and there's no special way. I can keep hitting it back and forth. I remember watching somebody come in and fountain, and I could be in there, and I'd be just as cheerful, and I'd have a thought hit me about my mom, or a thought hit me about my wife, and all of a sudden, I was sad. Then I'd say, shake out of it, get out of it. And then I'd sit back and something else would hit me, and I'd think about something else, and then I'd feel lonely. You get hit. There's no specific order. You got to remember this. When you're telling people about the grievance cycle, remember, there's no specific order or no predictable fashion. People are unique in individual grieving. You may grieve different than I grieve. I grieved my mama different than I grieved my wife. Okay? I did. And I can think of people in my family that have been sick, and I've grieved. It seems like everybody I've grieved over, I've grieved in a different way. So you can't, grief is unpredictable. Okay? You got to remember that. Some stages may be experienced by varying degrees of intensity, others missed. You might not hit all of them, and some of them you're going to repeat. So you got to remember, grief, everybody handles grief differently. Give yourself permission to experience the inconsistent stages of grieving. Inconsistent. Remember that. Inconsistent. And trusting God to bring new life again. And let's look over here in this psalm right here. It says, "Though you have made me see troubles, many and bitter, you will restore my life again. From the depths of the earth, you will again bring me up." Psalm 71:20. I like some more versions of this thing. "You who have shown us all troubles, great and sore, will quicken us again and bring us up again from the depths of the earth." One more. "You who made me stare trouble in the face." Wow. Have you ever stared trouble in the face? I can tell you, every last one of you have. All right? "You who made me stare trouble in the face, turn me around. Now let me look life in the face." Wow. I look trouble in the face. Now let me look life in the face. I've been to the bottom. Bring me up. Wow. That's some powerful stuff. So here we go. There's all kinds of stages. Usually, and I've always taught before, there's 5 stages, but as time goes by, there's 5 stages of guilt, of grief. There's some other guys that teach 7 stages of grief. There's some that teach 3 stages of grief. Well, these are all kind of accumulated together, and just 3 stages are being taught tonight. But no, again, there's no specific order until you get to the last. And even there, all of those are not in any order, but they're usually the very last things you will experience when you go through grief. So number 1, the crisis stage. Crisis stage. That's when somebody comes up, knocks on your door and says there's been an accident. Or they call you on the phone and say, "Look over here. I need you to come over here and identify somebody. I need you to come up here." Shock is number 1 thing. It says this can last from 2 days to 2 weeks. In this stage, you are mechanically going through daily activities. Characteristics versus shock. And remember, shock and denial. Remember I talked about Iraq was shock and awe? Okay, this is shock and denial. You go, this can't be happening. Something, it's not simple, but something like this. When I was getting ready for Tuesday night service that night, and DC called and said, Daddy, are you sitting down? I said, yeah. He says, are you there by yourself? And I said, yeah. And he said, you may want to go outside. I said, why? Are you out there waiting for me? And he said, no. And I was waiting for Bethany to come to church. He says, Bethany's in the hospital. And I said, what is it? And he said, she just ran into a telephone call. And I said, no. I just talked to her a little while ago. She's fine. He goes, Daddy, it's her. I said, how about do me a favor and check? And so he called and he checked and he come back and he said, Daddy, I called, I checked. It's her. And I went to the hospital and stayed there until like 9 or 10 o'clock that night with her. But again, although I didn't lose her, there was that anticipated loss. I said, well, what about her? He says, I don't know anything about her. So here, from all the way here to the hospital, I finally get a hold of somebody, and they said she's talking, but they're testing. Again, what does that tell me? Yeah, and so all the way to the hospital, there it was, and so I called Linda, and Linda says, I'm on my way. And so I didn't, but as soon as I got there, the very first thing I did was I saw that she was walking and talking. And I asked how was she doing, and the nurses said, we can't right now find a whole lot other than her knee. Then I immediately texted Linda and said, she is going to be okay. She's up walking and talking. So that shock, you know why we have shock? Again, you've heard me say it so many times, it's nature's, or God's, I'll say nature, is God's shock absorber. It's what God gives us to keep us from our nerves just exploding, our heart exploding. It's a shock absorber. So we go, no, and we have denial, we get numb. And then with it comes anxiety and fear. My phone has been acting crazy. And I was talking to somebody, y'all don't know, I was talking to somebody that is saying, I'm so anxious and I feel so lonely. And this person, the older person I was talking to, and I said, it's okay, God's got this. And as I'm starting to talk to him, my phone cuts off. Now, how would you think if you called somebody and said, I feel lonely and anxious? And they go, okay, and they stop talking.
Yeah. You think they hang up.
Yeah. I did that today with a girl, but honestly, Linda dropped her car off to be washed. And I took Linda to the doctor, and we're sitting at the doctor's office. I said, you better come tell me I'm coming back to get my car. And so I called the car place, and they said, yes. I said, do you still have Linda's car? And they said, yeah. I said, you better go outside and check. I don't think it's there anymore. And they went, what? I said, where's her car? And they went, what? And I said, I'm just joking. And when I said joking, it went click. Linda said, what happened? I said, I think she went out looking for your car. Phone. That phone cut off again. So again, she called me, I called her back. She said, I'm sorry, sir. Was it your phone or my phone? It was my phone. Cut off. She said, I'm not mad at you. She said, but you did scare me. All right.